Welcome back to the weekly vlog. Today we are going to go through our second part of our osteoarthritis stuff. We're specifically going to focus on the knee today to try and get that back up and running back where it needs to be. This is going to work on pretty much all those different levels that we talked about last week for osteoarthritis, all those different 4 grades, different wear amounts and everything else. So try these first before you do anything else. It's a really good way that you can loosen up everything, get all the little joints moving. A lot of times the joint movement is going to be the primary reason we have pain. If our joint is limited, it's not moving the way that it should, that stress is going different places, whether that's through the muscle, whether that's more through the joint, things like that, it creates a lot of pain. If our knee is bent especially and we can't get it all the way straight, that lack of straightening is going to put a lot of muscle demand on our quad. It's going to put a lot of pressure through the patellofemoral joint, that kneecap, and it's also going to drive a lot of focal pressure through the actual knee joint itself, which a lot of times creates pain. So if we loosen that up, we get movement to normalize, we can help out those symptoms, those secondary issues of pain, and we can get that quad muscle especially to turn back on. So we're going to go through a couple different band exercises to really try and help loosen up the joint, and then we'll go through a couple simple, easy exercises to help get things loosened up, get them active, wake up all those muscles that might be getting shut down from some osteoarthritis. There's a lot of different variations, whether it's shoulder, low back, neck, a lot of different things that you can do. Again, this one specifically, we're going through knee osteoarthritis and kind of my initial section for those. There's a lot of progressions, a lot of the step ups, a lot of the higher level exercises. We'll just go through the start with this one. Perfect. So you're going to start off with a band. You can go a little thinner than this. I wouldn't go much thicker though. Really need it to have that. You can also use like a yoga strap, a belt, a towel. I like the stretchy band because it has a little bit of give to it. You'll kind of see as we start going. So first one, you can either do lying down or sitting up. Knee is going to bend a little bit. We're going to go just kind of right over or just at the top of that little bump that's on the knee right here. And then from here, if you're sitting, you're going to try and go a little pull down. Ideally, I want the force to be going right along with the femur. That's kind of where I want that direction of force. I don't want you here pulling all the way up. I don't want you pulling down. I really want to try and get that force right along. And you can vary bending. If you want to lean back or you actually want to lay down, it might give you a little better force development. And then just nice and easy, just adding that little bounce. Still keeping tension on it the whole time, but you're just adding that little pull. This is just trying to get those joints to just slide on each other a little bit. The joint needs to roll, but it also needs to have a slide for normal motion. If we're lacking some of that slide, that's where we get a lot of limited motion and a lot of focal pressure. There's 2 ways to regain. You can either force it, or you can do some accessory motion, which is going to be what we're doing with this band. We're trying to do a lot more finesse work and trying to get that to loosen up that way. Okay? So that's going to be for bending. You can also work into bending to try and get it straighter. Sometimes you need to work in a different direction to get the opposite motion to release. Next one we're going to do, especially if the knee is really sore, a lot of times working into that opposite motion helps out a lot. Next one we're going to focus on straightening. So attaching it somewhere that you have a sturdy mount. Usually this is like the bottom of a bed, a railing, a post, something that when you pull on, it's not going to come with you. With this one, same placement, right below the knee. We're going to do a little step out. From here, a little bend, and then just letting that band take the knee all the way back. We're trying to get that straightening. You're going to hang out here for 5-10 seconds. Little bend again. The bend is just to take a little bit of pressure off. Sometimes if you hang out at the end too long, it can be a little sore whenever you start moving again. So we're just trying to prevent some of that soreness by giving it a little bit more of a dynamic feel to it. If you want, you can just hang out at the end, but keep in mind that it might be a little more sore afterwards. So just a little bend, straighten, really focus focus on that straightening part. With this, usually 1 to 2 minutes is usually pretty good to get everything to loosen up. You can also work some of those little angles with a little bit of twisting. And then next one, we're gonna go just above the kneecap. So we're trying to get that other end of the joint, that other end to slide. It'll give us a little different direction. If you find one's a little more stiff or you kind of feel a little more pressure sensation, you can stick with just that one side. You don't have to do them both. I like to do both just to make sure that I cover all my bases. But if you find one that works really well for you, you can definitely stick with that, either above or below the joint. But just getting there, again, straightening is the key part. Getting that knee all the way back is going to be the most important. The bending is just to take pressure off. So don't get too carried away with the bending. You don't have to do all these little squats and everything off of that. It's really just to take pressure off the knee. Those are going to be the two big mobilization techniques that you can try out. There are a couple more that we can go through later, but those are the ones that I like to start off with. Next, we're going to go through a little bit of a terminal knee extension, where we're going to place the band right in the back of the knee. With this one, we are focusing on the muscle. We want to get this muscle firing. So, standing nice and straight, opposite leg can stay straight. We're going to bend the knee, forcing the knee straight. Really want that quad muscle to fire. Control with the bend, straighten it again. Really, again, at that top part is where I want you to focus on getting that muscle active, getting that muscle to fire. With that, sets and reps, I usually like to go more to fatigue, but it should be somewhere 8 to 15 should be the goal. Nice part about the band is if you go a little further back, it's a little bit harder. If you go a little further in, it is a little bit easier. So you can kind of play with those different motions depending on where you are at. From there, we are going to go into just a little bit of soft tissue work. I'm going to use the Hypervolt for this. I think it's a really good tool, especially just loosen up those muscles really quick. You can use other things. You can use a ball. You can use lots of other different tools that are out there. But just nice and quick, kind of go through the quads. Really try and loosen up the quads. The big reason to go after the quads is the quads are a big muscle that goes from the top of the hip all the way down to the knee. So if they are tight, they are going to put a lot of passive pressure through the knee itself. If you look at the tendon on each end, it's kind of like a little rope. The muscle is kind of like a spring. So if the spring in the middle is tight, it's going to put more tension on tendons on either end. Those tendons cross the joint. So if they compress everything a little bit, that's going to put more pressure through the knee joint itself. It's actually getting into those muscles, loosening up those muscles, stretching out the hamstrings, rolling out the hamstrings. Those are all going to be really good things to try and give yourself some temporary pain relief off of just getting those muscles to relax, getting the muscles to loosen up. So, big thing, going after the joint, going after some of the soft tissue structures, and then we really need to get quad firing. Next two that we are going to go through are just going to be quick little quad glute exercises to try and get the muscles going. You can always go through a little straight leg raise. You can do this laying back. You can do this sitting up. Sitting up is typically a little harder. Laying back or laying all the way down is typically a little easier. From here, taking the quad, little lift up, back down. I like relaxing every time at the bottom. One, we get a nice little blood pump. We're actually using those muscles to circulate the blood. If you just fire the muscle and leave it fired, you're pinching off all those veins, so you're not really going to get that blood flow. So by relaxing, we're going to allow a little bit better blood flow. Plus, we're also going to get used to turning off the muscle and turning it back on, which we need to do with walking. Walking, running, all those things involve quad turning on, turning off, turning on, turning off. So you can get used to that turn on, turn off by just doing a little bit of a straight leg raise while getting that muscle active. Next one from here, we're going to go through a bridge. So just laying back, nice and easy, just lifting up the hips. Everything should be nice and straight. I don't want everything to dip down a lot or have these weird pelvic tilts where you're really going through low back. Should be nice and easy going up. variations off of this, if this feels pretty easy, you can start off with just a march, where we're going into a little bit of that single leg stance, just trying to alternate. Or from there, we can actually go into a single leg bridge, where we're actually going up and down. Really focusing on using the glutes, where our stance leg is going to be the primary mover that we want. Try not to let this leg do a bunch of crazy things. We're trying to keep everything nice and still as a unit from our hips down. And we're really trying to just get that hinge from the hips to try and keep everything moving the way that it should. We're really just going for blood flow and trying to get all those muscles active again that might have shut down a little bit with some of the knee pain that you've been having. Try all those different tips out. There's a lot of techniques here. If you find one that you really like, or find 2 exercises that you really want to go after, those are going to be the best bang for your buck ones. If you can get the whole routine in, that's going to be ideal. But at least find something, find 1 or 2 that you like that you can add in. Try them out.